Never have gotten used to this. If I move this way, it's the opposite way. If surprised, up and down are still up and down on this thing. So if I point that way, it's me pointing that way, and if I point this way, looks like I'm pointing that way. So in a way, I'm glad this very well may be the last entry. This is, as I probably will name it, the epilogue, because today, as you saw, is the 15th. I have now been back at work for 1 month. So, how has my life changed? Let's see, that's one of the things I want to talk about briefly. Now that I'm back to a quote-unquote normal life, about the only change really is I'm on a few new medications I wasn't on before. And the other change, now I wish I had a more noble reason for doing this, but I don't. I've been exercising more. I know a lot of people who go through heart stuff say, "Oh, that was so scary." Yeah, I exercise all the time now because I want my heart to be healthy. I'm exercising, but basically, I lost some weight, lost a good amount of weight, and I wouldn't want to have to go through open heart surgery again. But the weight I lost, I did effort. It was just part of my body trying to heal up. I kind of burned off a lot of the fat I had. So what I'm saying is losing that weight was basically effortless. And I don't want to put it all back on. I really don't want to put on all the weight that I lost since it took me nothing, since I had hardly put any effort into losing it. I don't want to just put it all back on. And that's actually why I'm exercising more now than I was before. For instance, I go to dialysis Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and my appointment at dialysis is at 6 a.m. And I usually get to the hospital about 5:35, 5:40. So instead of just going down and get some chips out of the vending machine, what I now do is on the second floor of the hospital that I go to, there's a really long hallway corridor, and as a warm-up, I kind of get in that hallway, start walking pretty slow, and go to a more brisk pace. Then, that's on the second floor, I go down to the basement, and, excuse me, somebody's calling me here. Hello? Hey, what's going? I thought so, but I just text Brian, and because I had a message when I got home, I hadn't called him back or anything, but some guy saying I'm coming to pick you up at 6:35, so I just wanted to find out where you are and that kind of thing. Do you have me scheduled though? Oh, so should I call the Access for Transportation people or whatever they're called? Because I'd rather get a ride with you guys. Okay. All right. Okay. Bye. I'll let you eavesdrop on that. I got a little problem with my ride tomorrow to dialysis. The usual company that gets me isn't getting me apparently. Some guy just, like I said, some guy called and said, "I'm getting you at 6:30 or 5:35. Where do I need to go?" Well, there's part of the problem right now. This other person who's coming to get me doesn't even know where to go, and I live in a pretty confusing apartment complex. This lady I just talked to, who's with a company called Yellow Cab, they pick me up all the time. They know exactly where to come get me. So there you go. Hey, part of my normal life right there. Anyway, yeah, so I get to dialysis, and I go up and down that corridor and kind of as a warm-up. Then I go down to the basement of the hospital and go up 4 flights of stairs. And man, by the time I get up to that top flight, I don't think I can take another step up another stair. So then I go back down to the second floor again and just kind of walk up and down that hallway briskly a few times till it's almost time for dialysis. Then I go back down to the basement again and do those four flights of stairs again. And then I go back to the second floor and walk up and down the hall once, at first briskly and then kind of slowing down as a cool down. So there's some of my exercise that I'm doing now. The other thing is I'm still going to the cardio rehab place a few times a week. Insurance is only going to pay for that, not even through the end of this month. And as I mentioned in another video, as soon as they quit paying, I can pay $5.50 each time I go and use their equipment. So my plan is to do that. So between work, which I'm on my feet the whole time, and doing a little bit of exercise when I go in for dialysis, and the cardio, I'm getting some decent exercise in. I'm still, a month after I go back to work, I'm still tightening up my belt to the tightest hole. So I haven't started putting on any of that weight just yet, but that's actually why I'm exercising. But what a huge, long explanation. Let's see. Other thing I wanted to cover was, okay, what were I want to say highlights, but what were the most encouraging parts of what I've gone through these last few months? What was the most discouraging part of what I went through this last few months? And I'd say, we'll start with the encouraging. The encouraging, number one on the top would probably be, and this kind of surprised me, but I've thought about it a lot, the day I went to see the surgeon here over a month ago, and he gave me the release to go back to work, and it said no restrictions on it. I think that was probably the most exciting. So it wasn't actually the first day back at work. It was getting that piece of paper that, to me, said, your life now can resume. So that was the most exciting, encouraging. Number two would be the day that I walked back in this apartment from the hospital. The Sunday I was released from the hospital, and I walked back in here, and I thought, well, the worst is probably all behind me, which, let's go to the toughest parts I've had. Number one would be, and I think I've talked about this I'm sitting on my bed right now. There were so many days I laid on this bed, and I had those flu symptoms. I was achy all over. I had the chills really bad. I had stuff in my chest, and every time I'd turn over either way or sit up, I'd just start coughing really hard. And then I'd cough so hard that my upper chest started hurting. And I just had no energy. I would lay here in this bed and for 45 minutes to an hour and just agonize. I had to get up and get a pill or something like that, which would take me 3 minutes. I would just lay here, and I can't do it. I don't have the energy to get up and get it. So, and this kept happening, and then it would go away, then it would come back, then it would go away. I even had it, I think I mentioned in the last video, I had it the weekend before. I had it the weekend before I was supposed to return to work. But I haven't had it since then, so that was probably the most miserable. And that doesn't even necessarily have anything to do with the surgery. Because I think I said that they did a bunch of blood cultures and nothing ever showed up. The surgeon had no idea why I was having that problem. So that was the worst. Then number two on the most discouraging would be those stupid alarms hooked up to my bed in the hospital and hooked up to the chair. I really, even to this day, kind of resent that. I know they were only covering them. They were trying to help me out, but I hated that every time I got out of the bed, some alarm would go off at the nurse's station, and they'd come running. Or every time I got out of that chair, even up to the day I was released, it wasn't like they took me off the day before I was released. Even the day I was released, I probably got up out of bed to get my stuff ready, and the dumb alarm would go off at the nurse's station. So there's the most discouraging, the least discouraging, how my life has changed. I think that's about it. The future, like I said, I need to have an operation to remove my parathyroid. I'll just continue with dialysis as I was before, and summer's coming, and I'll keep working, and that's pretty much it. I thank you for watching these videos. I really do help. They would be a small help to somebody who's maybe going to go through this thing. I guess my final parting word of wisdom. Let me get my pointer over the stop button here. My final parting word would be, if you're going to be going through this, I guess you get to hear the rest of my phone call first. Hello? Hey? Yeah. Right. Yeah, she said she was... Yeah, I just talked to her. She said she was going to call some kind of manager and then call me back, so I'll see what she says. All right. I'll text you and let you know, and she probably will too. Okay. Thanks. Bye. That was the guy who always gives me not my rides named Ryan. That was the guy who always gives me... How much time have I taken up here? Oh, not even 10 minutes yet. Anyway, Ryan is the guy that always gives me my rides. I don't think it's that he really likes me and is really fond of me, but he's big on making sure I got my ride scheduled, because I think they share some of the money they get from Medicaid for having him drive me. So anyway, okay. So my final bit of advice is that if you're going to go through something like this, everybody is different. I talked to one guy who had open heart surgery for a bunch of bypasses, and his man, he kind of had me scared because he was like, he couldn't do anything on his own. He couldn't even sleep in a bed. He had to sleep sitting up in a recliner chair. And I mean, I was in this bed. First night I was back, I was in a bed at the hospital. So everybody is different. If you go to somebody else for advice, or if you listen to my advice on here and what I went through, what you go through could be absolutely positively, 365 or whatever it is. It could be quite a bit different. But like so many people said to me, they wished me good luck, or even more importantly, they prayed for me, and that's what's going to do you more good than anything else.